Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be going through the process of wiring up this electrical box right beside me here. What we've got going on is we need a light switch, a single pole light switch to control a few lights that are connected to it. And then we are also going to be passing power through to some receptacles or outlets that will not be on that switch. So it should be an interesting box to do up, and it's actually a very common thing to encounter this type of scenario. So we're going to go through the detailed process, and I'm going to show you how to roll each set of wires back into the box, including the grounds, the neutrals, and the hots, as well as how to do any pigtails that may be needed at the switch. Whenever I'm working on circuits like this, especially if you're new to doing electrical work, it's nice just to kind of write on the wires so that you know what's going on and you can keep things straight. So I've got my crawl space lights marked out over there. Those are going to be the switched lights, and then I have my receptacles that are also marked going out that direction so I can keep these straight inside of the box. Now right here, this is actually going to be the home run. This goes all the way back to the main panel, and this is a 20 amp circuit that's going to be on a dual function breaker. So it's both a GFCI and an AFCI breaker powering this particular circuit. That doesn't really matter for what we're doing today, but now you know. Now obviously I already have my cables pulled into the box here, and I have them to about the right length coming out. What I like to see typically is about 6 inches past the face of the box, and usually the handles of your wire strippers end up being close to 6 inches, and so you can kind of use that as a general guide to get these to be about the right length. But I usually don't trim them down until I actually strip the cables, so we'll go ahead and strip the cables first, and then we will come back and trim off any excess. Now some guys will strip the sheathing off of the wires before they pull them into the box, and that probably is easier, but for me it's so far just been more convenient to pull the cables in all together and then strip it back later. The way I strip the sheathing off of the cables is just using a standard utility knife and scoring down the center of the cable assembly where the bare copper wire is located. Being careful not to cut myself as I do so. They do make tools for this, and I'll link to the different tools in the description that are options for different stripping tools that you can try to use, but for me, a utility knife seems to work great. Now, code requires that you have at least a 1/4 inch of insulation showing inside of the box. So what I typically like to do is take it back to about a 1/2 inch or so. Somewhere between a 1/4 and a 1/2 seems to be about the right amount. And then I just pull on the sheathing, and then I use my utility knife to just cut that excess off, just like so. It's not the most glorious process, but it gets the job done. So now we'll just repeat that same process with the remaining 2 cables. Once you get all the sheathing removed, just take a minute and inspect to make sure that you didn't damage any of the insulation on the actual conductors before proceeding to the next step. Once I get all the sheathing stripped back, what I'll typically do then is kind of center out the wires and then trim them all off at approximately 6 inches using my wire stripper as a guide for doing so. Now, as always, the first conductors that you're going to deal with are the ground conductors. So let's take our hot and neutral conductors and get those out of the way by bending them towards the outside of the box. Your ground conductors or your ground wires are the one thing you really don't have to worry about as far as which wires are going where. Now with these ground wires, we'll also be creating a pigtail for the light switch because there is a ground connection on it that we need to connect to these ground wires. So to create this pigtail, we're just going to be using a scrap piece of 12 gauge bare copper wire. Now you could also use insulated 12 gauge wire, which is a better idea. So if you have some green insulated 12 gauge wire to connect for your pigtail, that is a better option, but the bare copper works just fine. Most of the time I use these yellow wire connectors, which are good for up to 3 12 gauge wires, but since we're going to be connecting 4 of them, we are going to have to use the next size up. The ones that I have here are these. I'll link to these in the description, but these particular ones go up to 5 12 gauge conductors in one connector. One thing I wanted to point out on the instructions is that pre-twisting is unnecessary. It doesn't say that we can't pre-twist, but it's not required. So we'll take our conductors and bend them off to the right hand side. That gives us some leverage for when we actually have to connect our cables. And then I also have my pigtail here in my left hand. So we've got them all held in place. Get the ends to line up as close as possible. Make sure that one of them isn't further out or further in than the others. Sometimes it works well to align the ends of the wires just by using your stripper and kind of pushing it on the face of them like that so that you get them all to the same point. One of the benefits of pre-twisting is that it does help you to keep them all lined up when you actually put your connector on. So I'm just going to use my little needle nose here and give these a little bit of a pre-twist. Not a whole lot, just enough that they're going to kind of stay together, and then we'll trim off the excess so that they're all lined up correctly. So now what we'll do is we'll just trim them off back to the shortest conductor, like that. And now we'll go ahead and put our wire connector on, and we should be able to just pretty much get this finger tight. If you want to use a pliers or something on the actual wire nut, you can do that. If they have these little wings on them though, typically, in my opinion, it's not really necessary because you can get pretty good leverage on it, and you can even like start to rotate the wires going back this direction. Don't continue twisting this back into the box. In my opinion, you should just twist it a little bit past the actual wire nut if you want to. With the grounds especially, it's fine to do that a little bit more, but the more you twist these conductors, it actually damages the copper or it makes it stiffer, so that if you ever had to take it apart and change something, it would be more difficult to do so the further back you twist it. Some guys you'll see where the cable was twisted all the way back, like almost to the back of the box, and that's just not good practice. So now we can take and rotate these wires into the back of the box, and this is one of the more tricky parts, sort of. It's not that big of a deal, but if you kind of have some strategy to it, instead of just randomly cramming them back in, it'll make your entire rest of your wiring project a lot easier. So we've got all of our ground conductors neatly tucked into the back of the box, and then we have our pigtail extending from the bottom left-hand corner here, and you're just going to want to gather all the pigtails that you're dealing with in one location. In this case, we're actually not going to be making very many, but what I typically do then is just leave this pigtail connected until I have all the pigtails that I'm going to be dealing with, and then I'll clip them off all at the same time. So now that all of our ground wires have been neatly rolled into the back of the box, we can move on to our neutrals. The neutrals are what you're always going to work on second. Now in this case, all the neutrals are going to be tied together because, like we talked about before, one of these is going out to some lights and one is going out to some receptacles. And the neutrals are not interrupted. They're always connected together because it's the return path for the current on both those receptacles and the lights. Now the one thing that we're going to do in addition to just connecting these three is we're going to add a neutral pigtail. The reason for that is that if we were to ever want to put in a smart switch, which we're not doing that today, we're just using a standard one, but if we were going to put in a smart switch or a Wi-Fi switch, those do require neutrals. So I like to always add my pigtail, even though I'm not going to use it right now. We'll just go ahead and have it available so that in the future, if we decide to put a Wi-Fi switch or something in here, it will be available. Now the length that we're going to be stripping off of these conductors for... I thought I had it better in there than I did. So we're going to strip 9/16 of insulation off each one of these conductors to get them ready to connect to each other. And this time we'll follow the instructions and not pre-twist them, just for fun. See how that goes. With 4 conductors like this, it definitely gets a hold of them really well. Each one of them has equal contact. If you have 5 wires in here, it seems like it's a little bit more difficult to get them all to equally contact the wire nut. And with that, it seems like it's a little bit nicer to go ahead and just pre-twist them, just to be safe. So now we'll roll these into the back of the box again. And then we'll roll our pigtail over to be at the same location as our ground wire, our grounding pigtail. So we've got our grounding pigtail as well as a neutral pigtail should we ever want to install a smart switch. So for this particular box, and most boxes really, the hot wires are going to be the ones that you need to pay attention to which ones are going where. Because obviously the neutrals were all tied together, the grounds were all tied together, and that's pretty typical. Now the neutrals aren't always tied together, depending on the situation. Sometimes they are separated, especially if you have more than one circuit going through a box. You do not tie all of the neutrals together, but you do always tie all of the grounding conductors together like we did in the back of this box. So what we have here is our home run on this side, and you can label these wires if you want. Use a label maker or something if you want to be able to keep track of it. With this simple of a box, in my opinion, it's really not necessary. So like I said, this is the home run, so this is the power coming into the box. Then we have this wire right here that's going to our lights, and then this wire right here is going to our receptacles. So we want power to go through to our receptacles all the time, so we're going to have to create a pigtail for powering our light switch, which will then power our cable or conductor going out to our actual lights. So we're going to take these two and then create one more hot pigtail coming off of those so that we effectively are passing our power from our home run through to our receptacles all the time. So again, we'll just strip 9/16 off of each one of our conductors that we're going to be connecting into our pigtail assembly. Now technically I could get away with using a yellow wire connector for this, or a wire nut, but I'm just going to go ahead and use these red ones. These work fine for this combination of conductors as well, and since I already have them handy, that's what we're going to use. The only benefit to going with a smaller connector would be that it theoretically saves you a little bit of space in your box. And now we'll bring our pigtail around, which is going to be the power supplying our switch for the lights. Okay, so now that we have all of our pigtails gathered into one spot, I'll actually clip them all off, and I'll just use the handle of my wire stripper as the indicator for how long to clip those off at, just because it's handy, and it's about 6 inches. And so to summarize the purpose of each of these, this is our power that's going to be feeding our switch, and then this is our grounding conductor. It's going to connect to the body of the switch. The neutral we're not going to use right now, but it's available so that if you did want to power some kind of a motion switch or a Wi-Fi switch, you could do so. And then this wire right here is the power going out to our lights. One more thing about the neutral. In the 2020 National Electrical Code, they do require that you have a neutral present at every switch location. Now, it doesn't say that you have to put in a neutral pigtail like we did. That's kind of an extra step, but you do need to have a neutral at the box, which effectively changes how you can set up three-way switches and some other things, but just keep that in mind. Now, you do need to safe off your neutral because it is a current carrying conductor, so you don't want this to just be bare on the end. So we'll just now roll this into the back of the box so that it's available if needed. But you can see that it's really convenient to have that neutral already done up, because to pull all of these conductors out of the back of the box is a major hassle if you wanted to add a neutral pigtail at a later time. We're just using a standard snap switch, which is probably the most common thing you're going to encounter. This one does have the option of using backstab connections, which use these little spring-loaded clips that retain the conductor once you push it in there. And my recommendation is to not use those and just wrap the conductor around the screw itself, which is what we're going to do here in just a second. But there is a variety of opinions, so you can comment down below and let me know if you use backstab connections routinely or if you think they're going to immediately burn your house down. If you have a switch that has like a clamp style connection that uses the screw to tighten down onto the conductor, so you can slide the conductor in and then tighten the screw down and it clamps it, I think that's perfectly fine. But if you have just the backstab connection or the option of wrapping it around the screw, I'd always choose to wrap it around the screw. So when I strip these conductors back, usually you need about 3/4 of an inch for wrapping it around the screw. So we'll do that. Now we're going to pay attention to which way we're going to be putting the switch in. We want it to be such that when it's in here, this is on, this is off, And the reason we're paying attention to that is it shows us which side the connections are going to be made. So they're going to be here on the right hand side as we're kind of looking at this. And so we're going to bend our hooks on our wires such that as you tighten the screw, it will also tighten the connection onto the switch. And our ground is on the other side, so we're going to bend that hook the other way. Now, it technically doesn't matter which terminal goes to which wire, so I'm not even going to bother with paying attention to that. But if you wanted to develop some kind of a standard practice, like if you always had the power coming on the bottom or the top, you could do that. But functionally, it's not going to change anything for the way it works. You can see as I tighten it there, it kind of pulls the hook tighter. And if you were to put it around the other way, it would loosen it. So that's why you want to bend them in the same direction. Now some people will take electrical tape and wrap it around the outside of the switch just to cover these terminals here so that they don't short out against anything. Now, in my opinion, it's not really necessary most of the time. If this was a metal box, I probably would go ahead and do it just since you have a higher likelihood of it hitting up against the side of the box and causing a problem. But with a standard plastic box like this, and if you're planning to put the cover on right away, which you should be, then I really don't think it's necessary. But if you want to, it doesn't really harm anything. You can certainly wrap it with electrical tape. Comment down below if you have an opinion about whether or not you think it's a good idea to wrap all of your switches or receptacles with electrical tape before installing them. All right, so we'll get this thing in position. And typically you can kind of just fold the wires one time like this and push it up into place. And it's best to push it all the way up to where it's seated before you use the screws. You don't want to use the screws to push the receptacle into position. So make sure that it's in the right orientation. So right now, this is how I wanted it to be. So we'd be flipping it on this direction and off this way. Now, in order to keep the switch level or parallel to wherever you have it installed, typically what I'll do is I'll just pull it all the way over to one side of these openings here, and that'll just keep it parallel with the side of the box. Or you can level it back and forth a little bit if needed. But if you're just gonna wanna keep it parallel with the box itself, then I just pull it over to one side, and that keeps it nice and easy for your installation. So there we have the installation completed of the switch itself. Let's go ahead and put our cover plate in place. So once we have our power connected, we will go ahead and test this to make sure everything is working properly. I'll let you know if there were any issues, but there really shouldn't be. The home run is not connected into the main panel yet, and that's how you should always do your electrical projects. Finish all of your wiring first, and the very last thing you'll do is connect your actual home run into the panel. That way you have absolutely no chance of the circuit accidentally being energized while you're working on it. So if you guys want to see how to tie your home run into a main panel, that's going to be a video coming up soon, and I'll likely have it done by the time you're watching this video. So I'll put that link here on the screen so you can click on that right here. Otherwise, this video right down here is the one that YouTube thinks you'd like to watch. If you have any other thoughts or suggestions, make sure you put those in the comment section below, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. All right, we'll see you over there in just a few seconds.